everyone. Welcome to Community Roots, a place where we gather in community to talk about mental health so we can travel the journey of life together. I'm Samuel Richards.
I'm Julie Richards.
I'm Sarah Wakefield.
Did I get that right? I had to pause there for a minute. I've been on work mode so much. I had to recalculate for mental health mode. But
It sounded right.
You did well.
That's good. I know.
Yeah.
Where's the note cards? We're used to having those. Anyway, I wanted to welcome everyone this week because it's actually our 100th episode.
Yay!
So, boo, 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 boo. Maybe we'll have fireworks go off in the background there or
There you
something
go.
like that.
Something celebratory.
With Final Countdown playing.
Thank you.
But anyway, you know, what a journey. What a crazy couple years it's been. 100 episodes.
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Jeez.
We could
Half
get
a
a degree
decade
in this
almost.
amount of time.
That's true. Can we
In
get
theory.
that accredited?
You know, end of our senior year.
That's interesting. Interesting take on Community Roots. Maybe that's our next unofficial season is Community
College.
Roots. Yeah, senior year. You know? But yeah, you know how long that 4 years we've survived COVID in those years, you know. Starting off in that recording studio in Bob Fitrakis and Suzanne's backyard, and then kind of moving
The
our way
Carriage
to-
House. Isn't that what it was called?
The Carriage House, you're correct.
I just think that's the sweetest
WGRN.
name. And I know our listeners haven't been there, but it was just like a beautiful little setting. And go to the Carriage House. Like from the outside, it looked very historic.
There's like two carved horses in front, horse heads out front that lead into it.
Just kind of a unique spot. And it was a fun beginning.
Sarah, you recorded it with us there, right? You're off the beaten path.
Yeah. I remember it being extremely hot or extremely cold. I don't remember which
It
one.
could be both, depending on the weather.
Okay.
It could go either way.
I do
am
remember
curious
that
to
building.
kind of look back and be like, okay, if we scroll way back, because Sarah, you've been with us a long time.
What, 2.5 years?
I'm gonna see if I can find it. You guys
I've
can keep
inserted
talking.
myself in here, and you just can't get rid of me now.
You have the
I have-
invite,
okay,
the master
so-
invite to all these recording sessions.
So you go back, Sarah, to episode 4. It was
What?
August 7th, 2019.
Look
Wow.
at that. There it is.
There it is. Like, so from the very beginning, and in fact, you were the second Off the Beaten Path episode that we had.
Man.
So it was the very beginning. We did our roots of Community Roots, like the ground of the tree, you know, the tree roots. And then we talked about the community of Community Roots and what community meant. And then the root, as in the pathway of Community Roots, was right after that episode. And I will say, you still, I think, outshine in how many downloads came from that episode. Like, you're incredibly famous, Sarah. Like,
I do introduce myself to people I don't know as, you know, I have one of the highest downloads on Community Roots.
That's
My
hilarious.
life
Great.
is incredible. You should listen to it.
Yeah.
join in the fun. You too can be part of our community.
Yeah. You want to know me.
Yeah, but then you got to worry though. Are you peaking too soon with the amount of?
No, I can bring it back. I can smash another record.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, what a time. So, I don't know if you remember, Sarah, the first time that you sat in the recording room with us, what that was like.
Oh my goodness. I remember not sweating uncontrollably. I mean, I
That's
could not
specific.
stop sweating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, that's my go-to is to perspire under pressure.
Mm.
I remember not that first episode, but I remember the first episodes, the first big chunk of time, and thinking about the dynamic and between the two of you. One, how often does somebody come across a situation where there's a mother and a son weekly biweekly dialoguing about critical components of life, and doing it in a healthy way. Usually when you're talking about mental health or mental development, I feel like it centers more around the mother and the son having a screaming match about the son needing to grow up and the mom's too overbearing, and I don't know, I think that's being stereotypical. And here is this connection between two people who have come together in such a way as to bring healing, maybe not just to themselves, but to other people. Other people. You're reaching other people with your relationship. That's incredible. So yes, sitting in that chair for the first however long, it's like, I feel like I am, not because of anything you did, but I'm the cousin of an in-law who lives
I'm in this family tree. I've been invited in to graft in. I'm in there somewhere, right?
I'm in there somewhere, but I gotta feel this one out to see what exactly the relationship is here. And it's been a family, in the best possible sense. So those are my recollections on my first episodes with you all.
That's not bad. I mean, and how much we've grown since then too, and come closer together, being able to play off each other a little bit. We were just reminiscing about trail mix too, even how that's been integrated. Yeah. Can you remember, was it at Mom's place or was it at Dad's church?
No, I skipped the church part. And I think it ended right before I joined, right at the transition. So my first episodes
we had episode 28 was in February of 2020.
I saw
when
that.
we did like Off the Beaten Path
Part 2
with Sarah Wakefield part 2.
Ooh,
Like we brought you back for that. And I think that was right about the time that we transitioned to shortly thereafter.
Oh yeah,
let's do this as a threesome, the three of us.
Yeah.
I think that's how that worked. It was like, hey, would you be interested in
Yeah, I think that's
continuing
the first time
to
the three
meet?
of us were on.
Mm-hmm.
I
the same
remember
episode.
maybe interviewing Maddie just like right after.
Yeah, that was right after. Uh-huh.
And
It's like a lifetime ago in some ways. Like just whenever we look back, it is fun to kind of see how far we've come and how our relationships have grown, and the sense of ease and even delight comes to mind. Like just being together and seeing each other.
Yeah.
There's this sense of like, yay, we're all in the same thing, same place together. The schedules aligned, the stars aligned. It was possible. It's like no small feat. And I think that's something that's really important to us, is modeling like shared humanity and authenticity. And it's totally okay that things are bumpy sometimes, because we are still here and we're still prioritizing that balance of mental health, family, work, life on the planet. And even when it's bumpy, it's going to be okay. Like we're still going to come through that. I think that's an important value of ours, and something that I hope that people can see, that even if it slows down at times, like our last few weeks have been a little stressful for various reasons, and it's like we still care and we're still here, and I guess you can trust that we're taking good care of ourselves and each other, and we will rally.
I think this was mentioned the last time we were talking, but even like the point of meditation being about bringing it back, or refocusing, and just even doing that in a way here where real life gets in the way, or just like in general other things in life get in the way. It's just wild how things are. And then being able to refocus, reprioritize on even mental health, and getting together with the two of you. Yeah, but and being authentic through that, I think is really cool as well. I was actually trying at one point, I was trying to get to see what our gratitudes were on Off the Beaten Path. but it's so hard to focus on both audios at once. I can't do it. But that's one of my other favorite traditions that's gone out of this, is taking a moment to pause and just reflect on where we're at. Finding a gratitude or an affirmation or a mantra. That's been one of my favorite things over the last 100 episodes in general.
Mm-hmm. It kind of sticks with you to make it your own personal practice of like being more aware of that, of like, what am I thankful for? What is a phrase that is encouraging or affirming or life-giving? Because sometimes that might be all we have is a phrase.
Yeah.
Like too much, I can't read the whole book, or I can't do 1,000 more things on my to-do list, but can I just kind of slow it down to a few words or reflection or touch base?
Taking out what I can from it. Something like Kristen would talk about. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And another thing is just how many of our shared experiences I think we brought to the podcast, like how many hardships we've had in general, and just getting through those things, or being vulnerable in that sense, and being able to talk through some struggles we're all having.
I think that's such a beautiful thing, to not have to be so rigid and pressure oriented, perfectionistic oriented, of I have to produce, I have to appear a certain way. It's like there's something very freeing about connecting and just being like authentic with each other and holding space with what's happening, growing together. Just feels good. There's a goodness in just being where we are and allowing ourselves to be there.
And it strikes me, the more that because we've continued this with each other, how much more naturally it comes to me to do it with others as well. Like constantly practicing it here means I'm prepped, or, I might not be fully prepped, but it's closer to the surface than it would be if I wasn't doing this with you guys.
So I am always big, I'm a little bit of a dreamer on the show, so I enjoy talking about some stuff. But, we've made it through 100 episodes. That's not even counting, the deep breaths, some of the re-editing for some of the re-released episodes. But what does future plans look like with y'all? What are some things that you'd like to cover, or how would your experience, how would you want your experience in your own life to kind of mix with community roots? I guess before I ask you guys that, I will pause and also ask the listener that, what do you guys want to see, and how can we kind of bring in your experience into this? But
I would definitely be curious to hear that from
reach
our
out
listeners
to us.
Of what's been helpful, what do you appreciate. I had feedback from someone recently that their favorite thing was the unpack that, having books that are explored. And I got asked directly, like, can we do the book Every Memory Deserves Respect? So that's on my radar, and that will be soon. But the reason why we produce some of the things that we do is specifically because people have an interest or a curiosity, and we want to be responsive to that. So engage with us and let us know what is helpful.
I know what I do. If I find a mental health book, I flip to the back and I see how many pages it is. And if it's over 200, then I add it to the unpack that list.
Let mom read it.
Yeah.
I need to start doing that. I have books.
Yeah, right. I got a list I got to go through.
Actually, if you only knew how many.
I was just going to ask that. I was just going to say, do you do fiction?
You know how many books I have to get through and do.
So yeah, if you do have any ideas, I mean, there's so many ways you can reach out to us. Leaving a 5-star review on iTunes is the first way. I'm just kidding. But you could reach out to us at communityroots.pod@gmail.com. But I was curious, what do the two of you guys think? What are some directions you'd like to go? Even if just ideas or inspirations.
I think also along with that line of feedback, if I can just pause on that for a second, it would also be great to know like how helpful or desired are the Instagram posts and
Mm.
the visuals for that. I'm hopeful that that is encouraging people in a unique way and that it's helpful. And if it's not, maybe we need to reconsider. I don't know. I like the ability to just kind of be with what is happening and be um, mindful to what adjustments we need to make or things like that. So just kind of putting that thought out there, I guess.
I'd love to know if there are areas in which we could expand that our listeners would love for us to expand into. I mean, I know in the past I've floated around ideas of we could do a quiz show or shorter segments with us individually that are more entertaining but still tied to mental health, or if those are too obnoxious for our demographics. But just like I think what we're trying to say is we're really open to ideas, and whether or not they fall in line with a current segment that we do have, or send us the ones where you're, whatever you got that's popping into your head as you're driving down the road or something, or working, and I'd love to hear these creative thoughts. Or maybe they seem really practical to you and not creative, and you're like, why don't you do that? I think we have opportunities.
I remember, Samuel, you've brainstormed the idea before about like current events.
Yeah, I would love that.
I mean, looking at what's going on in the world right now, there's a whole lot of, um, depth and complexity. And how do we navigate world events? Be
Yeah,
interesting to have some discussion around.
I would love that. And even, being able to add in perhaps conversations about mental health in the workplace,
Mm.
trying to navigate those discussions in those situations. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I feel like that there's a lot there with leadership, with, being able to balance those things or boundaries in general. I feel like the time that we've spent reflecting on some topics has been so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And so to kind of take those topics and re-lens them could be helpful as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
current events is huge too. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just thinking about a workplace mental health and how that might, I'm picturing people, listeners driving into work. And maybe there's a segment, like a 5 or 10 minute segment they can listen to about, oh, you're headed into the, the office today. Here's what you might experience, or here's how you can deal with patronizing Paul, or,
Ooh, give them
sloppy.
character names.
Yeah.
And people can be like, I have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Grandma on board. She helps us with the puppets. And so then we have the caricatures with the puppets.
That's hilarious.
No, I do like that. And even to yeah, I do like that idea. I dig that. I sorry, I just regained my thought, which
Yes.
was, what about using consistent affirmations, where these affirmations are more about a learning practice about how to use affirmations than they are some that we're making up on the spot or something like that, or just identifying with at the time. I know when our family was going through like a crisis and one that was about building and support, we would say affirmations to each other like throughout the day. And it was a good practice going into college and work life, where you have a set amount that you can kind of start off with if maybe you're grasping.
That's actually really cool. What comes to mind for me with that is EMDR uses positive cognitions of that would be considered affirmations that people can sometimes reflect on experiences that they felt that way. Like one comes to mind is like, I am supported. So then allowing your mind and heart to reflect on what are the times that I've been supported in my life. Kind of put some slow taps with that left right movement, and it just kind of reinvigorates the memory for the brain and the nervous system to say, yeah, I have had moments like that. I realize in saying that it can also evoke the opposite, where people suddenly can think I wasn't. But hopefully there's a way to sit with it a little bit and consider, maybe in some ways it's both. Maybe in some ways we long for more, but there are also moments, if we'll look for them, since so much healing comes in moments, not in I just climbed Mount Everest and now I've arrived somewhere. It's more like, how did my small little practices, how did my good mental health foundation, the things that I can do, that I do have control over, that I am able to do, if I can implement something small, that's so much more like approachable, so much more manageable than if the task is huge. So maybe challenging ourselves to sit with some of those positive affirmations or positive cognitions and sharing some of our experiences with them might be like a relational way for us to kind of coffee shop that, our own conversations.
I think that sort of thing builds resiliency. I think that's good.
Could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I do also have sometimes people will send an article to me of something that they've read, not necessarily like current events as much as just maybe it's an article from Psychology Today or something they're learning, or so it could just be sharing spontaneously and organically what comes up. Makes me think of Bonnie Badenoch's work, Heart of Trauma. Flashback to that episode. That was a good
reference.
Yeah, look at me having a reference. But yeah, those kinds of things could be meaningful and life-giving and spontaneous.
What about a segment on stand-up?
Comedy?
Yeah, like we prompt each other, and then like Sarah, you would do a stand-up segment for like 15 minutes, unplanned.
Totally. I'm on it.
I'm thinking 15 minutes of unplanned. I wonder what kind of.
Who's spontaneous now, Julie?
I'm just curious what's the pool of topics or.
We pulled out of a hat.
Ooh, mental health topics.
Yes.
See, look, now it's real. It started as a joke, but now it's serious.
I love this idea. We put topics and then we just pull it out of the mental health hat and then we have to talk about it.
And Sarah, really, we should leave that up to the mental health experts.
Right.
So maybe we add the topics to the hat and Mom pulls the topics and then improvises it.
Oh.
That is a good idea.
Oh, this is genius. I feel like our next 100 episodes have just built themselves.
Yeah. Perfect. No, I think that there's a lot there. And even, with building resiliency, modeling good behavior or just good mental health practices in our daily kind of conversations, or even what does supportive conversation look like between friends, and how can we implement that into a podcast kind of narrative. But well, folks, it has been a great time hanging out with you. Thanks for peeking behind the scenes for our 100th. See, we get to have one relaxed episode. But yeah, and it means so much that you guys have joined us throughout this journey too. I know we get so much messages. There's been reviews over the years, connections we've made with even folks on the street about community roots in general. I just want to say it's thanks for being here. Looking forward for the next steps as well. Please join us in this journey with us by reaching out and connecting with us so we can walk through it together. But yeah, boom. Well, any words of wisdom for our 100th episode?
I'm having the phrase "keep walking" coming up, just like we're taking another step and we're leaning in, and we'll see where this adventure takes us next. I mean, it's been quite a very meaningful time the last 4 years, and I think that is worth celebrating and remembering and cherishing. I'm glad that we could be here to do it. I'm glad for both of you and for our listeners, and it's been a really great adventure so far, and we're not done.
Julia's, mine is take the pause.
So keep going or take the pause. You get to pick.
Yeah.
What's needed
you
in the
have to
moment.
do both at the moment. Park while going forward.
Both and both can be true.
And. Yes.
Both
no,
can be
it's
true.
like you can keep walking and remember to take the pause. It was in the 12 steps, Trauma and the 12 Steps Daily Meditations book that Jamie Marich and Steve Danziger talked about in a previous Off the Beaten Path. And in it today or yesterday's daily meditation was about taking the pause, but it was meant in the with regards to when you feel just like essentially dysregulated, angsty, anxious, and you're not sure you're going to get through the moment. You're not sure you're going to get through the next moment. And taking the pause, you can have the pause. So take the walk because it's your journey. And along that journey, you're going to need to take pauses. I'm taking that for myself.
Yeah. True for us, too. We re-engaged in July and said, we're back in. And then it's like, 3 months have gone by.
Off the beaten path. Off the beaten path.
Yeah. So we're real people and
Yep,
living real life and glad to be together for it.
Well, my words of wisdom are listen to these two women because they're very smart. No, I do so appreciate everybody joining us and all this. And hey, 100 episodes, that's such an accomplishment. So, thanks to you both for being with me throughout this journey. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's listening. But, well, we will see you next week for a deep breath. And yeah, let's continue on this journey together. Talk to you guys soon.